Namaskar kids, welcome to the world of Panchatantra. This is your friend Partho from the Vedic IQ. Kids, today's story is the last story of the first book or the first Tantra of Panchatantra. Could you recall the name of the first book of strategy? Mitrabhed, which implies the loss of friends. Kids, as we can recall, the jackal Damnak sowed the seed of discord among his master, the lion king Pinglak and the bull Sanjeeva. As a result of which, the two estranged friends met each other in a deadly face-off. In this episode, we will also get to know what happened to the fight between Pinglak and Sanjeeva. Could they resolve their dispute? Did one of them die? Or did both of them die? We will see right after the story of the faithful but foolish monkey. In the last episode, we saw how a noble robber sacrificed his life to save the lives of three friends. The three friends who escaped death by a narrow margin reached a kingdom. The son of the merchant sold the gems that the three friends found and presented the proceeds to the prince. The prince was touched by the honesty of the merchant's son and made him the treasurer of his kingdom. His other friend, the scholar's son, who suggested the clever idea of gulping down the gems with the food, was made the chief minister. The new chief minister was well versed in 6 measures of foreign policy. And what are the 6 important measures of foreign policy? Number 1, negotiation and parleys, which implies talking and finding peaceful solutions to problems with the other countries. Number 2, battle, which implies settling disagreements through organized fights with rules. Number 3, logistics, which means planning how to reach goals, what's needed and how to make it happen. Number 4, lying in wait or ambush, which means surprising opponents by hiding and then making a move. Number 5, battle formation, which means organizing like a team to be ready for different situations. And the last one, the 6th, forming alliances, which means making friends with the other countries and promising to help each other when needed. The prince, now the king, was determined to expand his dominion. Through strategic warfare, he defeated the reigning monarch and claimed another kingdom as his own. But as days passed by, he placed the burden of governance on his chief minister friend and indulged in luxury. He kept a monkey as his pet. His pet monkey was very obedient and faithful. But the problem was that he was a foolish fellow. One day, the king decided to rest under a tree in his beautiful garden. Concerned about his tranquility being disturbed, he turned to his loyal companion, the monkey, and said, "Dear monkey, I shall take a brief nap here under this tree. Your duty is to ensure that no one intrudes upon my slumber." However, as soon as the king fell asleep, a persistent bee, attracted by the sweet scent of the king's surroundings, sat on the king's forehead. The monkey, upon seeing the bee disturbing his master's sleep, tried to shoo away the bee. But the persistent bee flew back and sat on the king's forehead again and again. Frustrated and blinded by anger, the monkey resorted to an unthinkable act. With a swift motion, he drew the royal sword and struck at the bee. Tragically, the blow meant for the bee landed on the king's head, splitting it into two. The king died at once, and the monkey was punished. This was the story of a faithful but foolish monkey. Tell me kids, in this story, how many measures of foreign policy have been mentioned? A. 5, B. 4 or C. 6? The correct answer is C. 6. There are 6 measures of foreign policy. After telling this story, the jackal Karkat said to Damnak, "This is why I say, never make friends with a fool. Damnak, you are a fool, a selfish fellow who can do whatever it takes to fulfill his desire, even if it means to forget the faint line between the vices and the virtues." Thus, admonished by Karkat, the jackal Damnak quietly slunk away. Karkat spoke in accordance to the precepts of moral wisdom, but his words felt like poison to Damnak. In a distance, the screams of the ongoing fight between the lion and the bull echoed through the jungle. It was a battle of titans, but eventually, Sanjeeva could not withstand the lion's ultimate mighty blow, and he fell on the ground. With a cry, his soul left his body. Pinglak, realizing what he did, wiped off his falling tears with his bloody paws. With a heavy heart, he lamented with sorrow. Oh no, what a dastardly crime! Sanjeevak, my dear friend, my second half, now lies here slain, and by my own doing. O Lord, what a terrible sin! At this moment, the audacious jackal Damnak, the mastermind behind all this chaos, came to the weeping lion and said, My lord, why are you weeping? You have vanquished your enemy. You should feel proud. Upon seeing that Damnak had not come back, Karkat went to find him and soon saw him sitting next to the lamenting lion. With remorse in his voice, Karkat said to the Lion King, My lord, what happened is not right. You could not understand what it means to be a good leader. Fighting with someone you care about, like you did with your friend, is not something that a good leader should do. It's also not smart to create doubts and mistrust in your leader's mind by suggesting war when there are other ways to solve the problems. There were 4 expedients that you could implement, but you chose the worst option without even caring about the other 3. Kids, a few episodes back, we saw how Karkat explained the 4 expedients of real politics to Damnak: Sam, Dam, Bhed and Dand. According to Karkat, the king implemented only one of the 4 expedients and ignored the remaining 3. Tell me, which expedient did Pinglak go for? A. Sam, B. Dam, C. Bhed or D. Dand. Try recalling the definitions of the 4 expedients and choose your answer. The correct answer is D. Dand. The king Pinglak chose to fight the bull, whereas he could have considered the other options as well. The jackal Karkat continued. It is said that even the powerful gods have been defeated because of small fights. Nobody wins every time. Ministers or advisors should not suggest war to their leaders. Instead, they should try to make peace by talking, giving gifts, or finding new solutions. It is also the moral duty of the minister to give honest advice, even if it is not what their king wants to hear. This helps the king make good decisions and keep their kingdom safe. A good leader should listen to their advisors and think carefully about their advices. Sometimes things may look different than they seem, so it is important to consider everyone's opinion. My lord, you will always come across cunning advisors who keep their own benefits in their mind and present compelling arguments to you. You should take actions only after deep deliberations, considering the consequences of your action. Your decisions have deep impact not only on you but also on your kingdom and all the creatures who look at you as their wise lord. Here ends the first Tantra of Panchatantra, Mitrabhed. As it is said, the forest lion and the bull were linked in friendship growing full. A jackal then estranged the friends for greedy and malicious ends. Children, I hope you enjoyed these stories from the first strategy of Panchatantra, Mitrabhed. These tales, told by the wise Vishnu Sharman, are not just stories about talking animals. They are like mirrors. They show us the complicated nature of people, relationship and decision making. Remember the main story of the bull and the lion? It taught us to be careful when we choose our advisors or friends. Throughout the stories in Mitrabhed, we have seen how important it is to choose our friends wisely. If you look at most of these stories, like the one about the sage and the jackal, the bug and the flea, the swan and the owl, the lion and the ram, the poor camel, the sensible enemy and the foolish friend, and many more, you'll notice they all share a similar lesson. Be cautious about the company that you keep. If a friend gives you advice, it is essential to think carefully about the advantages, disadvantages, and the consequences of that advice. I hope these values and morals will guide you on your journey through life. Until we meet again, keep shining, stay wise, and do not forget to share with others the lessons of Panchatantra. We will be back soon with the next Tantra of the 5 Tantras of Panchatantra. Goodbye, Namaskar.